red line and then off you go.
Right, good evening everyone, welcome to this ordinary meeting of the Planning and Transportation Committee. The meeting is being held under the regulations allowing local authorities to meet formally using remote technology. It's being streamed live and is available to view on our website. I will now ask the Assistant Town Clerk to carry out a roll call of all councillors and ask you to confirm, please, that you are present.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Buckland.
Sorry, present.
Thank you. Councillor Chase.
Present.
Councillor Long.
Present.
Councillor Rhodes.
Present.
Councillor Tandy.
Present.
And Councillor Turner.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And moving on to the agenda, so item 1 is mobile phones. Members are reminded, please do switch their mobile devices to silent for the duration of the meeting. Item 2 is apologies, and I will ask the Assistant Town Clerk to believe that there are no apologies.
There are none, Chair.
Thank you. Interest. So the standing declarations on the agenda are noted. Members and officers are reminded to make any other declarations if they become apparent at the appropriate time during the meeting. Are there any further declarations that members need to make now? If there are any that become apparent later, then obviously members just declare them as and when. So the minutes of the meeting held on the 29th of March 2021 have been circulated and form pages 4 to 13 of the agenda pack. So can I ask firstly that everyone is happy that they be approved, and secondly they be sent when so.
Get happy with those, Chair.
Yes, thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, your reception is breaking up.
Thank you. I will move to, if you bear with me, I'm going to move to a different Wi-Fi. And hopefully that will make things better.
Okay.
And then we're on to urgent item, and I'll hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Members will have received under separate circulation a notification that we received on Friday regarding a revised application for the land at Bridge Road Roundabout, Littlehampton. This is the Hampton Quay development that we last saw in October. And within that, there has been further information added, which has prompted the District Council to recirculate it for comment. And this is around the road safety audit, which has been conducted in connection with the access arrangements for the proposed development. And in that respect, Emily's displaying a map which hopefully gives some indication of changes that are proposed in order to meet or improve access for pedestrians and cyclists there. When we saw the application back in October, the committee had concerns on two main levels really. The first was regarding those access arrangements and how access to the new site would be accommodated off that roundabout, and generally the impact on the A259 there. And secondly, regarding the affordable housing requirement, which as things stand, the development doesn't propose any affordable housing within it, but rather to mitigate that by a payment. At the moment, it's just the road safety audit that's come in, and it's the highways elements that are being reviewed here. Because it is so new, there are no comments yet from the Highways Authority, and Climping Parish Council are also being consulted because it's right on the border of the parish and could have an impact on their area. So it is fairly new. But in essence, it proposes widening some of the pedestrian access and cycleways, and also forming an access across one of the junctions there to help provide continuous access arrangements. I'll hand over to members for comment, Chair.
Thank you. We go first to Councillor Buckland, please.
Am I live? I am now. Thank you, Chair. Yes, I totally agree with the case that when we looked at this back in October, we were concerned about obviously the cycleways and obviously, you know, how things were going to be joined up. Here, obviously, it looks so much better, and it looks more like things have been thought through. So I'm happy to go with what you know, the other members think, and that. But for me, I would say yes, what an improvement. Obviously, however, we've got to wait for highways to decide on if it's good enough or not. However, Chairman, I think for noting, I do hope that whatever works are undertaken, that they are combined with you know, the current works that are going on within the 259 as is. I mean, it would be fatally silly to actually have the works that are all going on at the moment on the 259 and then this come in, if you like, for the road works to be done, to come in after all that and then just cause more chaos for our residents than what is already being caused via the ongoing works. So I hope that there can be some discussion with highways in incorporating future works on this area whilst the continuing road works continue, and obviously going off towards as and when they get going towards Bognor. So that would be my ask, is that there's discussions with highways to combine the works with the ongoing current works, so when it's all finished and everybody can move on. But looking at this, I think it's a lot better than what was proposed in the first instance, and to have a linked up footpath and cycleway is a must around that area. So I'm happy what I'm seeing at the moment. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak? I'll take that as oh yes, Councillor Turner, please.
Sorry, I was a bit late there. I wasn't at the previous meeting in October. I'm very confused about what they mean about linking up footpaths, because to my knowledge there isn't a footpath there. There's no footpath between that exit where the gate is and Kingley Gate. There's no cycleway. There is a footpath that comes across the bridge, but then from the bridge round to that exit with the gate, there is no footpath or cycleway. So I'm not sure I understand how much safer this seems to make it be. If they're going to put in a cycleway and footpath all the way along, then that's a different kettle of fish. But at the moment, I can't see how this makes it any safer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think, I don't know if it's possible to zoom in on the image that we're seeing. just to see where it stops and finishes. Perfect, because I think that's they're adding a crossing in, aren't they? So the footpath comes from the crossing, so you can walk along the other side. So I don't think it's about Kingley Gate. I think you're right, Councillor Turner. So I think what they're trying to do is create, like, you can walk up Terminus Road, cross over at Tesco's, and then cross to get there.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, fair point about Kingley Gate. Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wonder what traffic is going to be like along there, I mean vehicle traffic, with all the road improvements that are going on at the moment along the 259. Does this mean that traffic down here will be heavier and faster? Thinking about other developments that are going on as well. Just putting it out there, really. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then no one else has indicated to speak, so we will need to come to a decision. So there are two elements, as the Assistant Town Clerk outlined. We objected previously on highways grounds, which obviously we're addressing here, and on affordable housing grounds. So from my point of view, the affordable housing has not changed, so that they're still not meeting the planning policy. So my view would be that our objection on affordable housing grounds should stay. And then it's about whether members feel that these highways works are sufficient to alleviate our previous concerns. And I'm open to any proposals. I've got Councillor Buckland and then I think Councillor Turner. So Councillor Buckland first, please.
Thank you, Chair. Oh, hang on. Thank you, Chair. I am more than happy to support your proposal within the housing situation. Got to ask the question, do we know, because the Assistant Town Clerk did turn around and say a payment would be given. Do we know of what amount of payment would be given, or is that something that comes after the sale or the sale of the properties that are involved? So I think, you know, at this present moment of time, Chair, I will support your decision, or second your proposal of the housing scenario must stay, because I don't think we've got enough information about, and I totally agree with you under the planning grounds. However, like I say, the town clerk, assistant town clerk, did say about this payment, but obviously we don't know what the payment is unless the assistant town clerk does. And how are we going to, or who is going to receive that payment? In reference to the roadworks, I'm happy to go with, and I might be totally wrong here, but wasn't the was there not talk of the Kingley Gate access or accessibility going to be along the riverside rather than actually on the top road? I don't remember, I can't remember, it's a long time ago, but I just wonder if that was something that was spoken or even suggested from the application. I can't remember, but happy to go with your proposal as in reference to the housing, and I'm happy to, you know, I think the roadworks and cycle path and the rest of it is a necessity, and it's an improvement from where we were before. However, I think we need to be, would be nice actually for us to have the input from West Sussex County Council Highways before we actually made a decision. But how we get around that, I don't think it's worth objecting against, but how we get around it, I don't know. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And then Councillor Turner, please.
Does the Assistant Town Clerk want to respond first?
I was happy to hear members, Chair, and then I'll come back in full if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, Councillor Turner, can you turn your camera on?
Yeah, just done it.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very concerned about this access for pedestrians and cyclists. I don't think the bit that they're talking about doing is adequate. I'd also like to know what this payment would be, as to whether that would cover the costs of a proper cycleway from there down to the Morrison's Roundabout, or at least to Kingley Gate. A cycleway and pedestrian way would be very useful and would really help that area completely. I agree with Councillor Long about the increasing traffic, that the amount of traffic that's going to be on the 259 once all these developments are all completed is going to be enormous, and I don't think the 259 is adequate to cope with it. I would be happy to support your objection about the housing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, I'm going to leave my camera off because I've had the most terrible hay fever and I'm not a pretty sight today, or this week actually. So I just wanted to say that I think it's absolutely barking mad that they're considering relocating the protected, the barriers. Those barriers have just been put there. So it just seems complete and utter madness. But I also agree with Councillor Turner that we do need a cycle path that goes from that roundabout to Kingley Gate, or as far as Morrison's. There is one from Kingley Gate to Morrison's, but it's on the other side of the road. So, you know, people cycling from the roundabout would have to get to Kingley Gate and then cross over to the other side, which seems a bit pointless when that could continue all the way along. And also the cycle path coming from the bridge doesn't actually meet the roundabout, but I think that's already taken into consideration. Sorry, I can't see further down the map. Is that line where the footpath, where the cycle path ends, is it? Cycleway connection.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's because at the moment it doesn't go all the way along there. And we also need an island on that stretch of the 259 so people can actually cross over to get to the cycle path from if they're coming out of the town.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Jules, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll deal with the affordable housing first because that's stated in the current application, but at the moment any financial contribution is subject to a viability assessment, and in that respect that's a negotiation between the applicant and the planning authority. Any payments that are made would be made to the district council, probably under a section 106 agreement, which would stipulate how it was to be used. Much more than that I can't say at the moment, but that as yet is still outstanding on this application. In terms of the highways matters, as we've already said, West Sussex Highways have yet to comment. So in terms of the comments that have been received, which I have down as continuity of any future works so that it combines with other existing highways improvements proposals in the areas. Clarity regarding the continuity of the links both with Kingley Gate and then further down to Morrison's. Without West Sussex assessment, the increase in traffic in the area due to the ongoing building is still a concern to members. And other features that you'd like to see, including a further island to facilitate pedestrians crossing the 259. I have those comments. members would like to take those forward, it would probably necessitate an objection, as not all of your concerns have been satisfied with those comments going forward. If members would like to consider that, Chair.
Indeed. Yes, I was about to say that I think from what everyone has said, I don't think we're in a position to say we don't object to this. We aren't happy. So are members happy for the reasons? I'm just seeing that Councillor Buckland is typing. Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. I was waiting. I jumped in a bit too quick. I was actually waiting for you to finish what you were going to say. But anyway, I'm happy to go with whatever. I mean, it's in reference to the cycle lanes. I mean, I'm supportive of every single cycle lane that could ever be made. But I just don't see, unless West Sussex actually step in, or even Sustrans actually step in, I think you're only going to get a cycle lane possibly down to the traffic lights at Kingley Gate, and then you'll just have to cross over and use the cycle lane that is what they used to call, what's it, the dog walk down the back of Wick there, down to Morrison's and that way. I mean, it's an ongoing argument constantly with the cycle lanes, that if you can put one on one side of the road, why can't you put one on the other? But it falls on deaf ears, and that, so, you know, I'm happy to go with the flow, whichever the case may be. I just think that in reference to the traffic side and cycleways, etc., is that unless we get some kind of input from, which we haven't got, from West Sussex, because they should be the ones that are steering us in the way that is the proposal satisfiable, etc., where we're actually at the moment stomping around in the dark. So to take a total objection against the cycleways and that, I don't think is the right move. But I totally support you in reference to the affordable housing scenario. So that's where I am. I don't really know what else to do. Thank you.
Okay, so I think from what other people have said, I think I'll put the proposal that the objection is lodged on the grounds of, firstly, the affordable housing as we've previously explained, because that hasn't changed. And then I think, and I might ask the Assistant Town Clerk just to summarise again if the highways reasons that we've formulated, please.
Yeah. So in terms of highways, it's a clarity really in terms of the continuity, particularly of the cycle link, and it's probably both sides, west as well as further east, taking into account connections with Kingley Gate and Morrison's. Taking into consideration the increase in traffic in the area due to developments, it's not clear if that has been sufficiently taken into consideration. Combining the works with other improvement works in the area to minimise disruption, and the addition of crossing for pedestrians, an island was suggested, Chair, to take into consideration.
Lovely, thank you. Are members generally assenting to those grounds for objection?
Yes, I would support that.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone. We'll take that as general assent, and we will, I think, update our objections accordingly. Lovely.
Thank you, Chair.
Right, we move back to the main agenda. Item 6 is the public forum. In accordance with the remote meetings protocol which has been adopted, anyone wishing to address the council or any of its committees should email a submission to us one clear day beforehand. There have been no submissions for this meeting. Item 7 is then planning and other Arran District Council matters, and 7.1 are the planning applications lists 13, 14, 15 and 16, and I will hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk to take us through these.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, starting on your list, members, which is on page 14 of your agendas, And the first application is the ground floor flat 2A at Parkside Avenue. That's LU 7221PL. And this is a proposal to fill in the front of the building with an infill extension there, as seen on the plans. There aren't any comments on the website. Hand it over to members for comment, Chair.
Thank you, and no one has commented and no one is typing. So I will suggest there is no objection to this application.
No
Yes.
objection for me.
No, I was happy with it. Thank you.
No objection
Yeah,
from me.
No objection at all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. The next one on your list, members, is reference LU 8321, which is 49 Northway Road, and that is a first floor rear extension. This property is at the end of a terrace of 3, and there are objections from the adjacent and neighbouring property in the terrace, who are concerned about the loss of light that the proposed development would bring about for their own properties. Emily's just displaying the plans there. Those are the only comments on the website. I'll open it up to members, Chair.
Thank you very much. We will begin with Councillor Long, please.
Thank you, Chair. I do rely on Google Earth to look at some of these applications, if only to see the surroundings. And I have to be honest, when I looked, the neighbour's comment about it blocking the light, in effect, this would almost entirely enclose their garden, because the neighbours the other side, the way I saw it, already have quite a large extension on both stories, so they would have it blocked that side and blocked with this new application. So I would have concerns about it. As I say, there's already a large pitched roof extension. I think it's at number 47. So that I'm not comfortable with this one, I have to be honest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Councillor Turner, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I agree with Councillor Long. I was very concerned when I saw the photographs that the lady had sent in objecting to this, and the shadow that was cast across her whole property in the garden. And I think she's got very valid reasons for objecting, and her loss of light. And so I would be very uncomfortable with this application as well. So I wouldn't be able to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I will take that. We have a proposal to object on the grounds along the lines that the heightened scaling of the property will detrimentally impact the neighbouring property's loss of sunlight. I'm sure the assistant town clerk will tidy that up so it makes sense.
I agree with that.
Oh, that's exactly what I was about to ask. Is everyone happy with that?
I agree.
Yes,
Agreed,
very happy
Chairman.
with that. In a sense, it's overdevelopment. Thank you.
Perfect. We will formulate those words into planning speak and submit them. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. That objection's noted. The next application on members' list is reference LU 9021, and this is to install a drop curb and driveway at 2 Elspring Mead, Littlehampton. There's no comments on the website, Chair. Hand it over to members for comment.
Thank you. I think it's fair to say there are examples of this already in this little terrace. So Councillor Long is typing, so we will go to Councillor Long, please.
There are no secrets, are there? When I first looked at this one, I was concerned because it goes over the public footpath, as we can see on the plan on the screen now, and the grass verge. But again, relying on Google Earth, yes, neighbours just 2 or 3 doors down have already done it. Whether it saves on road parking, I'm not sure, but it looks as though they can get 2, even 3 possibly cars in front. So I'm quite happy with it. Thank you.
Thank you. On account no one else wishes to speak, is the committee happy that that be no objection?
Agreed, Chairman.
Agreed.
Thank you. We'll take that as no objection.
Thank you, Chair. That's noted. The next application on members' list is reference LU 9221, and this is an application to vary the conditions attached to the working hours of the property 9 Wick Parade, which is the Domino's pizza takeaway there. They wish to change their hours to allow for deliveries at 3 AM. At the moment, it's currently 1 AM. There aren't any comments on the website, and Emily's just displaying there how they plan to operate if the hours are extended. Open it up to members for questions.
Thank you. So the proposal is that deliveries can basically take place until 3 o'clock in the morning. Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. I read this with some interest. An extension until 3 o'clock in the morning, okay, but then in the statement that's on the screen at the moment, it does say that the numbers of movements would dramatically reduce during that extended time. So I couldn't really see why they were wanting to do it. And they might turn the lights off, but if their drivers are going to pull up out at the front of the shop and go in, what if somebody's walking past and thinks, oh, they must still be open? And then the person gets there, wants to go in, isn't allowed to, causes a bit of a ruckus. I can't really see what this is going to achieve other than some irritation for local residents. No, not comfortable at all, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Buckland next, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Before I actually go into my rant, the big statement from me is a definite no. I just think that this is business gone mad, if that's one of the words. You know, 1 o'clock, yeah, okay, that's sufficient, because at the end of the day, let's be fair, you know, if the pubs were open, and this, that and the other, most people, you know, if they've had enough to drink, they're on their way home, or whichever the case may be, and might fancy a pizza on the way home, or they've got till 1 o'clock in the morning to order it and have it delivered. To actually have drivers or motorcyclists, as we well know now, that are going whizzing round a little bit like Pizza Huts in the town centre using motorcyclists, no, unforgivable. I mean, why should the people above the premises be woken up by possible revving engines or cars, whatever the case may be? And then there's the residents that are opposite. So no, Chairman, it's you know, with all the best wishes in the world, you know, to be open till 3 in the morning, I mean, let's behave. You know, it's no, because of, I would put it down to, I don't know, antisocial driving or whatever, but just think of the noise. I wouldn't like it, and I don't think any of us in the committee would like it. But yeah, no, big no from me, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we go to Mr. Mayor, Councillor Chase, please.
Yeah, it's a definite no for me. I can't see the reason in it. How unhealthy is that, having a pizza at half 2 in the morning? And if they're not successful, maybe I'll suggest they try Rustington Parish Council.
Oh, we're getting into parish rivalry. Councillor Turner, please.
They do have a shop there, Chair.
I don't doubt it.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with all three of the previous speakers. There's a definite no from me. It's saying that the delivery drivers will use the parking spaces to the front of the commercial parade and access the store by the front door during those after hours. With the best will in the world, they will make a noise. I don't care what they say, they will make a noise, and that will disturb residents both opposite and who live above. I can't see the need for delivering pizzas until 3 o'clock in the morning anyway. I agree with that it's unhealthy at that time of the morning. And I think it's an exploitation of workers, exploiting their employees. I have to question how that would work in terms of whether they're legitimate employees or whether it would be the owners themselves delivering. But I find this very unsettling, and it would be a definite no from me. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a definite no from me as well. I can't believe that they want to be having delivery vans or whatever it is that's delivering, pulling up outside there, slamming doors, which they will be, or engines left running, and it would just be such a nuisance to the neighbours, and I just think it's totally unacceptable. So definite no from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I think I know the answer to this question, but it's the general assent of the committee to object on the grounds of detrimental impact on neighbourhood and amenity.
Chairman.
Yes, Councillor Buckland.
Just a quick one. What's your take on it, Chairman?
I would just repeat the idea of who's having a pizza at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you, Chairman.
There's far better kebab shops. No, I didn't. Right, we digress.
I'm not sure that's a strict planning ground, but there we are.
No, but at least I didn't mention other pizza shops are available. Is the committee happy to object?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yes, Chairman.
I agree.
Please.
I think we object and move on rapidly before I get sued by this pizza company.
Indeed, thank you, Chair. The next application on members' lists is LU 9621 PL, and that relates to the kite surf school, which is currently being developed in the old promenade shelter on Sea Road. Construction there is well underway, as I'm sure members have observed, and just seeking permission to develop an equipment store and office in connection with the sites there. There's limited comments on the website, but mainly from Environmental Health, who are stating some conditions and suggested that they might be employed should the application be approved. Open it to members for comment, Chair.
Thank you. We go first to Councillor Turner, please.
In essence, I'm delighted to see that this is happening, this surf school and cafe. However, comparing the two sets of plans, I notice that they are changing from, they aren't just adding the offices and storeroom, they're actually changing inside to instead of having separate male and female toilets, they are changing it to have unisex. And I'm very much against these. I don't agree with unisex toilet facilities, especially if they're available for those who use the cafe and restaurant. I think it's very wrong that they are separate, are not keeping those separate. Otherwise, I would be agreeing with it, but with this change, I don't agree with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we go to Councillor Buckland, please.
Am I live on screen?
You are now.
All right, okay. Can't see. Right, thank you, Chairman. What are the health and safety? What are the health and safety guidelines that they're talking of?
I would need to check on the consultation tab. I think their response is there.
Right. So, I mean, I'm over the moon with this development happening. I think it's a great thing for Little Hampton, and I mean, I have had, well, as you well know, Chairman, I have had my concerns over about unisex toilets and this, that, and the other. However, I am informed that this is the way that it all goes forward now. So that side of it, I'm, accepted it, and it's an ongoing thing where they are now becoming a regular thing in society, unisex toilets. So I don't have much of a choice over that, really. So I'm happy to go with the flow, Chairman. I'm very supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Long, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'm very pleased to see this construction going on. I can't wait for it to open. In terms of this particular planning application, two minor points possibly. The drawing that we saw just now, seems to be a very long blank wall on the eastern side of the overall building. I wondered whether that might be useful for, I don't know, some artwork or something. Yes, this wall here in that picture, and also where the existing wall is. Hello, it's gone again. Is there a gap between that wall and this new wall where small children might hide? Things like that. Just a thought, that was all. But overall, I'm very happy with it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then to Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm also not happy with unisex toilets, and I don't know why we have to just roll over and accept them, because that seems to be the way forward. I don't know anybody that's happy using them, and I certainly wouldn't use them. I'd rather just hang on as long as I possibly could than use them. And I think we should be speaking out against them, because, as I say, I don't know anybody that's happy to use them. So no, the planning application for this was originally, they were granted the application on individual toilets, not unisex. So I don't know why they're changing them, or they think they can just change them now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, does any member wish to speak again? And if not, I think we might need a vote on this, because it seems to be a difference of opinion. So the only grounds I've heard for objecting is the design of the toilets as unisex, unless any other member wants to say another reason, in which case we'll put it. I'm happy to put it to general assent. Is the committee happy to object on those grounds?
I would want to object on the grounds of the unisex toilets being included rather than separate toilets. Otherwise, I would have accepted the application, but I would object from that.
I'm afraid I wouldn't object. If they're cubicled, I don't see that it makes a lot of difference.
Okay, that's all I need you to hear, because then I can ask the assistant town clerk. I think we will need a vote, please, Jules.
Yes, is there a proposal to object?
I need a proposer and a seconder then for the objection, please. So I think Councillor Turner said she was happy.
I'm happy to propose that we object on the grounds of the unisex toilets.
Thank you, and then
I'll second that.
And that's seconded by Councillor Chase. So vote, please, Jules.
Okay. Councillor Buckland?
No.
Thank you. Councillor Chase?
Yes, I object.
Okay. Councillor Long?
No.
Councillor Rhodes?
Object.
Councillor Tandy?
No objection.
Sorry, you're
No objection.
against the objection, yeah?
Yeah.
Thank
No.
you, sorry. And
Sorry.
Councillor Turner?
I'm confused now as to what I'm voting.
The proposal is that we object to the planning application on the grounds of the unisex toilets.
Yes, that's my proposal, and I agree with it.
Okay, in that case then, Chair, the vote is tied at 3-all, casting vote.
Thank you, and I will maintain my no objection.
Okay, so that's no objection on that application on the vote, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
The next application on the list is reference LU 7621 PL, and that is at 71 Beach Road. Members will probably recall seeing this one before. It's got quite a history. It's has been flats, it has been a guest house. A short while ago, they sought consent to convert it back to a house, and unfortunately, the request now is that it be converted into flats. There's no comments on the website, and Emily's just displaying the plans. So hand it back to the committee, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any member wish to speak? Yes, Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. My main concern with this, Chairman, is the case of the may affect the setting of a listed building. Have we had any input from Arran District Council in reference to the setting of the listed building? And are we up together in reference to the sizes? Now, I would have thought the sizes are huge normally in these places. In reference to the 3 number 2-bedroom flats, are we okay in reference to the sizes? I'm always against the case of a good quality family house being turned into flats. It's my pet hate. But unfortunately, the way things go, this is an ongoing situation where people buy them, etc., and then realise they can make more money out of them by turning them into flats. So that's my concerns: is have we had any input at all from Arran in reference to it affecting a listed building? And secondly, are we okay for the sizes of the bedrooms, living quarters, etc., which is obviously something that we are all concerned with? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, and then we'll go to Councillor Long, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I agree with the comments that have been made. I will add in my usual one about parking. Because this this house has been used or has been run as a business, as a guest house and holiday lets. I don't think it's a case of it was then turned into a single dwelling. I don't believe that any of that was done, but now it's almost as though they want to refurbish the existing setup within the building. I don't have a particular problem with that because it's not adding to anything that wasn't already there. But I do have a worry because of the parking. I know there's street parking available. Not during the day, there isn't, not around there. So apart from that, I'd actually be quite happy with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are no other members wishing to speak. So,
yeah.
On the issue of room, sorry, I was going to say on the issue of room sizes, I thought they were fine, but the assistant town clerk, I think, may be coming in.
Oh, only to say, Chair, that in all those three cases, as far as I'm aware, the conservation area officer hasn't commented yet. I think Councillor Long is right. Whilst they might have had permission for it to revert back to a house, that hasn't been enacted. So it is more of a refurbishment, if you will. So there would be the family house wouldn't be an option there. There are 3 parking spaces provisioned and a reliance on street parking for anything over and above that.
Okay, thank you. So on that basis, are the committee happy to no object?
Agreed,
Yes.
Chairman.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, that's an objection. On to page 15 of your agendas, members, and the next application on the list is LU 121 PL, and that is at Felix Dancewear at 39 Beach Road. And that's a change of use relating to the first floor of the premises there, which is currently an office space that the applicant wishes to convert into a 1-bedroom flat. Hand it back to the committee for comments, Chair.
Thank you. Does any member wish to comment or speak? I will take the lack of anyone typing as a sign that no one does. But then again, I was proved wrong. Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. Oh dear, one of them evenings. Chairman, again, I mean, we've got it on the application. May affect the setting of a listed building, and I'm presuming that our conservation area officer hasn't commented, and that which I find a bit odd that we as a consultation council are being asked to comment on. So that's you know, that's where I'm, you know, and also obviously the sizes. Are we okay again in the sizes? So they're my 2 issues again, and if the sizes are okay, then more than happy. But obviously, you know, again, like I say, it's a case of the second one being of a listed building, and that would be nice to actually have Aaron comment on it before it actually comes to us. But there we go. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. I will simply say that I also noticed sizes. I think I'll just say I was sceptical on the bedroom size. So I think by my rough calculations, the bedroom works out at 9.64 meters squared. The space standard says it should be 11.5, but the overall total floor area just gets in there, but the bedroom is a bit small. So it just depends on whether members are willing to go with that. Anyone else? No. So then it's over to members really to decide if they believe that this should be objected to or no objection, and I'm happy to hear any proposals.
Does it set a precedent if we allow it through when it shouldn't be?
Whether we can, as a parish town council, set a precedent is probably unlikely, but my view would be I would personally be happy to object to it on the grounds that if, for what you just said, Councillor Turner, if we let one go, why we can't really then turn around and say the next one should. But Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. On the basis of what you've just said, then we should object. If it doesn't meet the standard that's required, then it should be a no, surely. And I would be happy to say no. It's going to be a very lonely existence.
Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you. I agree. You know, if it doesn't meet the criteria, then we should be saying no to it. Just seems a bit mad that we say yes when it doesn't meet the sizes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Quite. So I'm happy to propose an objection on the grounds that the bedroom does not conform to the required 11.5 metres squared for space standards. If someone is willing to second that.
Agreed, Chairman, and I'll second it.
I've never had so many people wanting to second it. So I will task, is that the general assent of the committee?
Agreed.
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 Yes, agreed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair, that's noted. The next application on the list, LU 10221L, and this is a proposal at Winterton Lodge to reinstate a collapsed flint wall. There's no comments on the website, but there is a detailed method statement showing how they plan to do that and materials, etc. Open it up to committee, Chair.
Wonderful. Councillor Buckland, please.
Thank you, Chairman. 101% yes to this. I think it's absolutely fabulous news that a flint wall is actually being reinstated, other than the norm in certain places in and around our town where they happen to get knocked down and totally forgotten. And I won't mention where, but it does happen quite often around our town. And that's so very happy with the fact of that it's actually going to be reinstated with the proper use of materials. So a total thumbs up and a yes from me, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, it would be a thumbs up from me as well. I didn't see any comments from the Conservation Officer, but I assume that their guidance would be sought and followed. And if that's the case, then yes, I think it's brilliant. Flint walls are just so wonderful, and we have some good examples locally. And if it means they're going to replace the hoarding, then yes, wonderful idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And there's no one else wishing to speak, so I think we might be about to hear a support. Is it? I've heard support from two people, so I'll put general assent to the committee that we support the application. Is that agreed?
Absolute support.
Agreed.
Yep, certainly.
Wonderful. Bit of positivity.
Thank you, Chair, that's noted. The last one on this particular list is reference LU 10121, and that is to create an additional detached chalet dwelling at Normandy in Toddington Lane. This is a 2-bed chalet. Again, there are no comments on it, and it would be on, as you can see the plans there, a corner plot at the end of an existing development. Open it up to members for comment, Chair.
Thank you. I am going to resist the temptation to say anything to begin with, and let other people speak if they want to first. of which no one else does. So I will say my piece of, this is not a planning reason, but it's something I'm going to put on the public record. The previous application for 9 houses did not require an affordable housing component because it was less than 10, and yet here we are with a 1 being added on to get us to 10. And that annoys me. But it's not a reason to object because it's not a planning ground. But there we are. Anyone else wish to speak?
Well said, Chairman.
I was just going to say, it's flaunting the application, isn't it, or the previous application and what was agreed there. This is just kind of trying it on, but as you say, it's not a good planning ground for refusal. Sorry to jump in.
No, it's absolutely fine. Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. In reference to your statement, then, is there nothing that we can actually do to? Okay, it's not on the grounds for objection, but is there nothing that we can actually do to actually go back to Aaron and say, excuse me, but, and make them take a stance of some kind? Because you're quite right, as in the case of it didn't come into the realms of affordable housing because they were only doing 9, and now, as Councillor Long has said, you know, pushing the boat out, if you like, and pushing it to become 10. So is there nothing legally that can actually be done to reverse it? That's the, you know, that's where I would be at, and I'll be going back to Aaron and asking and saying, excuse me, but. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, yes, unfortunately, the policy says it's 11 or more, so they are still technically 1 under, but it's frustrating. And I'm not saying I'm a betting man, but who knows in 6 months whether another one will come in. It's just development by piecemeal, which I think is what annoys people. Tack 1 more on, tack 1 more on.
Totally agree, Chairman.
Again, there's nothing really materially to object to in planning grounds. So reluctantly, I have to say there is no real grounds, I think, for my opinion, to object.
Agreed, but with reservations.
Yeah. Can it be noted through yourself, Chairman, that we are concerned about the piecemeal development and the fact that they're adding one on and adding one, or, you know, as you quite rightly say, not a betting man, but can that be noted and sent to Aaron?
Probably not.
Send a separate letter if you wished about to express your views regarding the general, or what you perceive to be the flouting of the rules, but other than that.
Yeah, I'm thinking on my feet. Did I hear that there's a review of the local plan going on? Or is it only parts?
They are going through their policies.
So it might be worth. It wouldn't be a waste of time necessarily to send a letter saying, can they review the affordable housing policy so that it addresses.
No, if that's what the committee wish, yes.
I mean, I would be happy to sign a letter of that regard.
I'd certainly be happy to support that idea.
Me too.
Okay, right. So the proposal then is that we no objection to the application because there are no grounds to plan, but we write separately to, I assume, the director of place, saying we would ask them to review the affordable housing policy that it deals with piecemeal developments on a site.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
Okay.
Lovely. I will take that as general assent and we will move on.
Thank you, Chair. We'll minute that one separately so that we get the action.
Thank you.
Next on the list, and this is the supplementary list that was circulated to members at the end of last week, and there are 4 applications here. The first is reference LU 12121 at 17 Peregrine Road, and that one is to build a new garage. The plans on site just revolve landscaping, and there are no comments at present.
Any comments on 17 Peregrine Road? That is a no. So is the committee happy for no objection?
Yeah, no objection, Chair.
Yes, I'd be happy with that.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
Okay. If members are ready, then the next application is LU 11621, and this is the development of the Elm Grove Road site in Littlehampton. And this is the expected development by Bocklock, and they are proposing 112 new residential units with all the associated landscaping provisions on these sites there. Not dissimilar to an informal presentation that members have already seen. There is proposal for affordable housing at the required level, which the district requires at 30%. So that would be a provision on there. The site itself is in a SIL zone 4, which means it wouldn't attract SIL. However, on the website, members will see there is a format for a Section 106 planning agreement outlining details of a number of benefits that would accompany this development if it was agreed. And obviously this agreement has yet to be finalised, so I can only call it indicative, but it does make provision, for example, for a contribution towards the Rosemead Park play area. There are figures mentioned towards the end of this, and I don't know how firm they are, but that's to be welcomed. There is also contribution to allotments also stated in there. Various other contributions to community use facilities. Outside of that, members might want to consider highlighting other community use facilities which you may wish to be involved in negotiations on the Section 106 and perhaps seek a contribution towards, namely thinking of the priority that we have working with the developer on North Littlehampton development for the new community centre up there. Otherwise, I'll take it that members have taken the opportunity to have a look at the development and hand it to the committee for comment, Chair.
Thank you very much. So the first speaker is Councillor Turner, please.
Sorry, I'm having problems with turning things on and off. The mouse doesn't seem to be making it work. Can I ask about, the picture be brought up where it shows where the play area and the nursery is? No, the plan.
Ooh.
If anybody can work it out.
I was just going to say there's quite a few plans in.
Yes, I know. I should have taken note of which one it was. My concern is that the nursery is likely to be overlooked by one or two of the houses, and I was just a little bit concerned as to whether the nursery itself was happy that there was going to be that the actual nursery was going to be overlooked. So I was just a little bit concerned about whether people would be overlooking the children's nursery and be watching the children. So I was a little bit concerned about that, if that could be possibly addressed.
highlighted. Yeah,
Yes.
I've made a note, Chair.
Whether it needs to have a higher fence to stop overlooking the nursery, you know, that would alleviate that. It was just that occurred to me when I was looking at the plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Turner. And we go next to Councillor Buckland, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of concerns that I would like confirming, please. One is that when the new road layout that's going to come out of this application obviously is going to come out on the new Fitzallen Road, I hope, and not go down Elm Grove, which is what previous that in West Sussex I fought against to stop that going down Elm Grove, because of the amount of traffic that would obviously produce. It's going to come out on the new Fitzallen Road link, and they're going to only turn, I'm hoping that they will only turn left as they come out and go down to the East Street roundabout and then navigate their way out of the town or whatever from there, because otherwise I can see there can be a complete and utter mess of the new road if they were going to be allowed to turn right out of there. So have we got any indication on that? The other scenario is what seems to be happening, and I'm not going to say it's going to happen here, maybe I'm going to jinx it, is that certain people seem to be moving into these estates near schools, and it actually baffles me. Why would you want to actually move in near a school and then complain about the noise that is actually generated by the school because of the children outside playing and this, that and the other? So do we need a better acoustic fencing of some kind to protect the so-called new houses from the school, or vice versa? You know, and also the case of, you know, people looking into obviously TLA and things like that. So just concerns of, but my main one is obviously the movement of traffic in and out of this site, and is it going to be a left turn and not a right turn, because I can just see it making a complete and utter mess if they're allowed to come out and turn right, and that shouldn't be allowed to happen. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. And then to Councillor Long, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Just following on from what Councillor Buckland was saying, I thought I read that there was emergency access only to be via Elm Grove Road, but the general sort of in and out movement would be from the Fitzallen Road. My concerns, I think, are the height of the block of flats. It's 4 stories, and does it need to be that high? Also, taking note of the many comments that the police response included, all of which are very sound in terms of having a bank of letterboxes outside of the building, not having general access into the flats area, and this sort of thing, and lighting, etc. Really, they will have to take note of these. Having said all of that, this is actually really quite exciting. It's a different approach to a housing development. I'll be interested to see how this progresses through the planning process. I mean, if they're talking about a car club, are people really going to sign up to that? Will it be a requirement that people sign up to it? I know they were talking about having a management company looking after various elements of their proposals to make a community. but is it going to take things too far that it becomes just this community and they don't become assimilated into the rest of the town? I know that's not necessarily a planning issue, but it is a concern, and I have seen on social media certainly comments about the height of the proposed height of the block of flats. I think that's about it. Oh, apart from parking, of course, as usual. I do remember asking about how many spaces they were going to be given over to visitors and so on, and don't remember having a reply. And I didn't really notice anything particularly in the many documents that are on site. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Councillor Turner, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, sorry, I forgot to say this. I agree with Councillor Long about the height of the 4-storey block of flats. I would like to see that only as a height of 3 stories, if at all possible. In terms of the road that Councillor Buckland was talking about, isn't that the section that we're having all this issue about the 40-mile-an-hour and 30-mile-an-hour speed limit? And if there's going to be an access from this estate onto the Fitzallen Link Road, then it really needs to bring the speed limit down to 30 to allow the turning onto the main road. So I think this actually supports getting it reduced to 30 miles an hour rather than the 40 miles an hour that is being talked about, and it would alleviate some of the issues we're having with the acoustic fence. That's my view anyway, so hopefully that will be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. And I think this part of the road is already designated as 30 because it's relatively close to the school roundabout as it will become. Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got a question really now on the case of that, and thank you to Councillor Long for bringing it to my attention, that the access or exit to Elm Grove from this site will be used for emergency purposes only. I think that's what she said. However, who is going to monitor this emergency exit access only before it actually becomes, you know, said rat run for whomever, whenever? You know, who's going to monitor that? Who's going to stop people from going down it and using it for a rat run? Or is there going to be some kind of barrier that's going to be put across that only the emergency services has a key for, so to speak? So yeah, that's where I am. I mean, because otherwise I think it should just be, you know, barricaded, and the access is from you know, the Fitzallen Road, and well, access and exit. And I totally concur with Councillor Turner. However, I do insist that with traffic coming out of this site, it's got to be a turn left and not a turn right, and it go, you know, the traffic goes down to the East Street roundabout, and then they negotiate whichever angle they wish to go in or out of the town via that roundabout. Otherwise, it'll just be a complete and utter carnage. You can see it every day. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Buckland. I can answer one question, and that is that I had the same question about Elm Grove Road, and I think in the plans it refers that it will be a gate and the emergency services will have the key, so only they'll be able to get in. Jules, do you want to come in and answer any of the points?
Yeah, I think you're right too, Chair. The emergency excuse me, access is Elm Grove Road only, and that would be gate protected. The access onto the Fitzallen Link Road, as far as I can tell, it could be either way, but that's not clear. I was just running through the planning statement and it's not specific. So I've noted the comment about left turn only directing traffic always down to East Street. In terms of parking, 178 spaces provisioned.
Can I just come back in on that one then? 178?
Yeah.
For 112 dwellings?
Yeah.
I would say that's not enough. Thank you.
I've made a note about fencing the flats. Obviously, they are before you now. The 30-mile speed limit we've already addressed. The nursery, it's according to the planning statement, residential properties east of the access to the nursery. So there are residential properties there, if that's something that members wish to raise, along with potential fencing to take into consideration the proximity of the secondary school there. I think that was it in terms of what members raised. In terms of the community aspects of the scheme, that would be down to the management company and how their covenants operated, I assume. So not necessarily a matter for this application.
Did we include the height of the block of flats? Sorry,
yeah, I've made a note of that. Yeah,
sorry,
yeah. It's there before you. If that is a consideration you wish to highlight, being too high.
I would like to have that included. Yes.
Okay, so it's a number of comments there, Chair, that I've noted.
Sorry, curse of unmuting. On those basis, that would have to account, if we are putting those comments in, that would have to form an objection, Jules, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I will then need to ask, first of all, if any other members wish to speak, and if not, if members are willing to support an objection on those grounds. Or if members would prefer a vote.
Sorry, I support the objection.
Yes, I would as well. If it gives them the opportunity to have another think about it, then why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other members happy with that, or any member wishes to object or disagree? I'm hearing none. So, on which basis do members wish to put in the objection that if the points are addressed, we're willing to reconsider?
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, because obviously this is quite a complex application, so I suspect it will take a little while to go through the system, and there will be changes. Right, is that? I think we've reached general assent, but yep. Just to be absolutely certain, members happy?
Agreed.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. We'll minute that one separately.
Thank you.
The next application on the supplementary list there is reference LU 10921, and this is a certificate for lawful development at 18A River Road, where the request is for a change of use to use the annex at 18A on a short-term let basis. And there's correspondence within the application referencing a compliance request that this is trying to address. Hand it over to the committee for comment, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Turner first.
I'm inclined to object to this one. They keep chopping and changing their mind as to just what they want to do. Originally, this was for a disabled relative, and now they want to rent it out. So I'm inclined to, you know, we agreed the original planning consent because it was for a disabled relative. I'm inclined to object to this one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Turner, and Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. I got a distinct sense of deja vu with this one. I too feel inclined to say no, let's object to this one. It's still flaunting some of the previous decisions that were offered it. I just wonder where it's going to stop. But I'm not at all happy with this one, and I would object. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Buckland, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I agree with my previous colleagues. When will it stop? It just seems to continue and continue and continue and changing at the will of the applicants. So yeah, I'm total support of my other colleagues and object to this application. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have members proposing an objection on. I just need to check with the Assistant Town Clerk if she has grounds or does she need words.
Well, out of character, if effect of the development on the character of the neighbourhood generally.
Okay, are members happy with out of character on the neighbourhood? There's an objection?
Yep, that's fine.
Agreed, Chairman.
If we've got nothing else that we can object to on.
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. That's an objection there. And lastly, on the supplementary list, again, a certificate of lawful development request at LU 11421, which is Apple Tree Cottage, and they're just seeking to do a timber dormer to replace an existing brick dormer at the rear of the property on the first floor. There's no comments on the website. I'll hand it over to members, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments on this application? Yes, Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Does this need to have the Conservation Officer's comments? At first I thought, yes, this looks fine, but the scale of it, is that going to be acceptable? Because it's a, I wrote it down somewhere, it's an existing block and flint built first floor wall. I would be very concerned if they weren't going to take extreme advice to get this right. I'm not sure at the moment, but I would certainly expect them to get some advice from the district council's officers. And I thought it was the writing looked like pressing room, and I realised it was a dressing room. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other members wish to speak? In which case, are we going down no objection subject to the agreement of the Conservation Officer?
Yeah, I'll agree with that, Chairman, but I'm just so disappointed so many times tonight we're not getting any views from the other relevant agencies, and we're having to just plod along where we should be able to make informed decisions with the correct information. And I really think we need to write a strong letter to the District Planning Authority saying, come on guys, we need information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's being noted. So members happy to no objection, subject to it's getting late and I can't speak. Conservation officer's comments.
Agreed, Chair.
Yes, I'd support that.
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair.
And that concludes the lists. So back to the agenda, and we come to item 7.2, which is BT's Arran District payphone consultation, pages 16 to 18. And the Assistant Town Clerk will summarise this.
This is now standard practice when British Telecom are looking to take telephone kiosks out of operation. They do have a consultant obligation here. So they're proposing to take this particular telephone box out of use. It's on Clun Road at the newsagents on the junction close to Eldon Way. Obviously, there's limited use on it and they're seeking to remove it and consulting the relevant authorities for comments. Hand over to members.
Thank you very much. We will go first to Councillor Long, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I think this one, they said it's being used 10 times a month, which is not a lot.
No.
And if we agree to, yes, you can remove the equipment, I did like the idea of perhaps adopting it, which was, you know, adopting the box. And could a defibrillator be put in there? I don't know if there are any others in the area, but on page 16 in our papers, it says modern glass boxes can be adopted if communities want to house a defibrillator. Just seemed like possibly a good idea. But in terms of the equipment, as I say, if it's 10 times a month, is that 10 people or one person? No way of knowing. You could write a story about it, couldn't you? But it's not very much. Thank you.
Yeah. If you write a story about it, you can put it in the box when we adopt it in the library. But in all seriousness, I actually think that's a very important idea, actually, that it's worth certainly looking into, like they say, about adoption. So I wonder if could officers go away and investigate that and see, as long as it's not going to suddenly cost us thousands of pounds. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. I wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Long. I think investigations should be made to see whether it can be adopted in some way, whether it's as a housing for the defibrillator or whether it's turned into a library or a book club box, if that could be done, unless it's the newsagent that wants it got rid of. Because if it's outside the newsagents, it may be that they're the ones that want it got rid of. But certainly some investigating and let us know what's decided. But in terms of removal of the equipment inside, it's I've no objections to that at all.
Okay, thank you. No one else wishes to speak, so I think members, I'm not hearing any objection to the proposed removal of the equipment, and we'll just also put a note in the minutes to officers are going to investigate the feasibility and procedures if we do want to adopt it. We're not saying we're going to, we're saying we're investigating.
Happy to investigate, Chair. Obviously, it's not a priority at the moment, so we will come back in due course. But in terms of the equipment, the telephone nature of it, you're happy for that to be released, but to investigate other options for community use on that?
Marvellous.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
me again. Oh, it's gone 8 o'clock. It's getting late. Item 8 is transportation and other West Sussex County Council matters. And just if you thought the meeting was over yet, you're in for a treat. We are on to 8.1, planning application WSCC 01121 Ford Circular Technology Park.
And we've a long way to go.
I won't profess to be an expert on this one, because there are a huge amount of documents there in order to comply with the planning requirements on this type of development, which proposes, as we've seen before, the waste facility at the Ford Technology Park there. It's not dissimilar to the previous application we've seen there in terms of its operation and the volumes it will be dealing with, but the proposal has been significantly redesigned. Previously, when we saw this application, and that was back in July last year, members had significant concerns about the scale of the operation and the effect of that in terms of emissions and the surrounding environment, the increase in traffic, particularly heavy traffic, given the already proposed development in that area that would add to the congestion, which members spoke about earlier as well. And yes, again, I can't offer any other evidence in terms of the application itself, as there aren't comments, for example, from Highways yet. Just a significant amount of research in terms of transport arrangements and impact overall. Open up to members for comments, Chair.
Thank you. And I was going to say I can't believe no one else will wish to speak, but I was proved absolutely right. We will go first, please, to Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got a lot of pink highlighted areas in the report that was provided. My main concerns are the proposed height of the stack, which in tiny print I discovered was 85 metres.
That's correct.
That's very tall. In pounds, shillings and pence, it's nearly 300 feet tall. Certainly, was it about 278 feet tall? I wrote it down. Yeah, 278. Where's the prevailing wind coming from? Where will those emissions go? And another comment was, it is in terms of the traffic modelling, it's anticipated that Ford Road, Church Lane, south of the site access road, will experience a small increase of 30%. When is 30% small? I actually don't feel that our objections have changed, certainly from my point of view. But I'll hand it over to other people to talk about. But those were my main issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to Councillor Turner, please.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a number of things that are highlighted as well. My main, apart from the height of the chimneys, which I think is appalling, but they've got to go somewhere. I have to say that in this day and age, we have got to deal with our rubbish. We have got to deal with our refuse, and we have got to deal with our recycling. And I understand that. The more and more houses we're building, the more refuse we're going to have, and it's ludicrous that transport stuff is being transported to places like Red Hill to dispose of our rubbish. That we do need to have something more local to us, and I do understand that. However, what I do object to is the fact that these lorries are going to be unable to turn left out of the site. and travel up towards Arundel and therefore onto the A27, they will all be turning down and travel along the 259. And the 259 between Littlehampton and Bognor is definitely not adequate for this increase in the number of of lorries that are going to be on that road. Nor is the road down from Ford to the 259 adequate for coping with that number of lorries, heavy goods vehicles at that. And I think that is absolutely, and where they say that it's not going to have a significant impact is beyond me. I think it's ludicrous. There is no way that that is not going to have an impact on the traffic. And it comes into this same planning consent that we were looking at for the Hampton place, because the lorries will have to come along to that roundabout to travel along past Morrison's to get to the bypass, the new link road, to get up to the 827. If they're not going that way, they're going towards Bognor, and where will they go? The road between the McDonald's and Rowan Park area of Bognor is not adequate to cope with the traffic and heavy goods vehicles that will travel on that bit of the road. So we haven't got a proper infrastructure to cope with these heavy goods vehicles. And that's my major concern. I did want to know about, if this is going to be such a big place, why are they not going to be employing more people? So it's not going to actually increase the employment in the area very much. I'd like to know about the difference between the number of vehicle movements now compared to what they anticipate there will be. That's not very clear on what they've put. And there was something about water. Sorry about this. I have to find the place. Organic compounds were noted to exist at a level that indicates the potential for migration into water supplies, and groundwater samples did not show elevated levels of some contaminants, particularly in the vicinity of a former above ground fuel storage tank. So where there is ground contamination, are they going to be rectifying those situations where there's contamination, so that it doesn't spread into the water course? So those are my concerns. I'm sure other people have got others, and I'm sure I had others, but I think that's enough for me just now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. We go to Councillor Buckland, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, how do I sort of like move on from Councillor Turner's statement? Right, so I totally concur with the height and the concerns about, firstly, the chimney. That I do agree with both Councillor Long and Councillor Turner. The extra 30% I would probably, as in the traffic movement that Councillor Long noted, I would say it's going to probably be more than that, considering that at the end of Ford Lane they are building houses at the end of Ford Lane, i.e. near Yapton / Warburton, which is obviously going to generate more traffic. And in reference to the HGV movement, when Top Block, and I don't know how aware Councillor Turner is of Top Block that used to be out on the Ford Road there, they actually stopped the movement of HGVs turning left out of Top Block and running into Arundel due to the congestion that was actually being caused within the that lower part of Arundel going on to the 27. So all vehicles of HGV size coming out of Top Block had to go via the 259 because of the congestion it was causing. You've now got the same situation that's happening down Ford Lane, because HGVs are now using Ford Lane down to Yapton and Warburton as a rat run, which is now causing further congestion and major issues down there. So the actual main route, in all fairness, and I totally understand where Councillor Turner is coming from, so with no disrespect, it's the best route at the moment is on the 259, whether we like it or whether we don't. Now obviously with the new link road, when it's actually finished, that's going to bring in more HGVs down that route, and they are more than likely going to scuttle along the 259 until someone actually does something with the A27 and the A27 can be bypassed, and added on via, the controversy of the bursted woods, etc., etc. So yes, I have the concerns. I had the concerns back in whenever it was when we had the select committee for the Eco Town, which was going on when I think Councillor Long was councillor then, so she probably has a memory of it, and that was going on then, and referencing HGV movements, because it was going to be the site was going to be the area where all the power was going to be done for this new eco town, which never ever appeared and materialized due to major flaws, etc. For the contamination, again, I see where Councillor Turner's coming from, but it is a known fact that when the investigations was done for the eco town, the contamination is already there. The issue being is it's actually saline erosion that is already in the ground. So the ground is actually being contaminated by salt. So there is already a form of contamination, which obviously the company won't have to deal with, other than if there was a spillage of some kind and it did leak into the main water system. So I think there's a lot to be still addressed and undertaken, especially within the HGV movements, and where they're going to go, how often they're going to appear, and stuff like that. Because I remember that, going back to the select committee again, we were talking about 30 to 40 movements of HGVs per day. Now that's a lot of HGV movements to anybody's reckoning, to come in and out of that Ford site. Now, if that's going to be the continuation of such a thing, then we already know that we are suffering with the lack of infrastructure, and with the lack of infrastructure, the roads are jamming up. But then that's because we're also building a lot more houses, and every house is having 2 or 3 cars. It's not just the lorries. So, Chairman, I think at the end of the day, it's a case of that there are still lots of things to be addressed and undertaken, and with that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to say that I don't support this application. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Buckland, and to Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I've been concerned about this application for several years now, even though they keep on changing. I used to live in Ford, and I actually moved from Ford because of this potentially being built. And the thought of the emissions that will come out of this chimney just fill me with dread. It won't be safe, because our standards are not as high as some other countries that have really good standards where they control the emissions. We don't meet anywhere near their criteria. So I am very concerned about what will be coming out of those chimneys. The prevailing wind is a westerly wind, so everything coming out of that chimney will be heading straight for Littlehampton, and we're just moving all these people in from all around the country into Littlehampton to, you know, put them right in the firing line of this chimney, and it's just wrong. And I agree with Councillor Turner and Councillor Buckland about the infrastructure. We don't have it. We are improving the roads around here, but we're only improving them to barely cover all the houses that are being put in the area. We're not allowing for all these lorries as well. You know, even with all the new roads, we're still not going to be able to cope without all these lorries because of the amount of housing that's coming in. And as for the enormously high chimney, and it will just be a blot on the landscape from the South Down National Park, and I just can't approve this at all. It's just wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Chase.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I find this absolutely appalling. They say there's a slight increase in traffic. Their slight is 30%. They have addressed our objections minimally, probably minus 30%. And again, no comment from Highways. This just cannot be supported at all in any way. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Councillor Buckland, thank you. I did realise that lorries weren't allowed to travel up from Ford to Arundel, and I appreciated that. That's why they were having to come down to the 259. My point was that the 259 isn't adequate to cope with the number of lorries, and I've just looked it up, and they forecast to be 109 heavy goods vehicle movements each way, so it's 218 per day travelling up and down from Ford and along the 259, and the road is just not adequate to cope with it. I have no issues with having a recycling site at all, but it needs to fit with the community, it needs to be fit with the infrastructure, and it needs to be something that's not going to overwhelm the area. So I won't be able to support this at all. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no one else currently wishing to speak. So, Jules, do you want to summarise kind of what you've got as the basis for the objection, because there's quite a lot.
Yeah. So I've got the height of the stacks, concerns, deep concerns about the level of emissions. The traffic modelling doesn't reflect what's actually happening on the ground in the area. Infrastructure is inadequate. The movement of heavy goods vehicles, as Councillor Turner mentioned, that's very clearly stated in terms of the increase there. The proposed changes barely cover what's going to be generated on basic housing alone, never mind this particular development. Limited employment benefits, potential in terms of contamination, water supply. Overall, not sufficiently addressed in any way previous concerns that have been raised by this committee.
And
Read.
Yeah, so are members happy with that?
Very happy, Jules. Well done. Thank you.
That would be an objection, Chair.
Yes, thank you very much.
Agreed. Thank you, Jules. Well done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we go to item 9 is Master Plan North Littlehampton.
There's nothing specific to report there, Chair, at the moment. There's a steering group anticipated on the 11th of May, and that's to be confirmed, but nothing further to report.
Thank you, so that's noted. Item 10 is exempt business, of which there is none. So in thanking all the officers for their help in putting the meeting on, which has been a very long meeting, and to councillors for their forbearance, I will close the meeting at 8:25, and I will just ask members to remain quiet until the live stream is ended. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.